Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic.
What's so damn funny? Once again, scammer alert, folks. So we have an Instagram called Yogi's Podcast Network.
Obviously.
And because it's a network
Of podcasts. Wow.
And I get a message. Hello. Do you have any Apple Podcast? Question.
No.
And so I said, we are called Yogi's Podcast Network. What did you think a podcast network contained? So then he tells me this. Remember, he asked me, do we have any Apple Podcast? Then he tells me, I am Spotify podcast promoter. And I'm like, here we go, bro. Okay. Only this guy was bad at it, like really
He
bad
was
at it.
so bad.
And he was like, 3 times he pasted the same message, which was his system. And his system basically involves running ads to your podcast. So he's basically going to upcharge you off the cost of the ad and keep that money for himself and just run an ad to your podcast. So you're going to get bogus listeners, etc.
Right.
And he tries to tell you that he can give you a 1-day trial so you can see how it will work. Well, if you're running ads, how are you going to get results in 1 day?
You're not. No ad has less than a 24-hour learning process.
But also have the 24-hour approval process in most cases.
Yeah, Facebook is faster, but yeah.
So,
So maybe not for what's-his-face from Bangladesh.
Yes, good luck with that, bro. It doesn't make any sense, and he wouldn't answer the questions. And they all say the same thing, that they can get you so many streams and so many reviews, etc. And they promise you that they will keep working until they've gotten you that. And you don't pay again until they've gotten you that. So how can they guarantee that, which is what they're doing? How can they guarantee that if they don't have control over what's happening?
I don't know. It's just all a big giant scam. They're just going to send a bot farm after your podcast to download it and be a giant scammer.
Yep. And they probably have some AI masking technology that makes it look less bot-like.
Right.
But it's the patterns. The algorithm's not dumb, okay? If you put out a video and it's just doing usual business, and all of a sudden you get 25,000 new subscribers, they're going to be like, hold on a minute here. What's going on? But if you put out a video and it goes viral and you gain 25,000 subscribers, they're not going to bat an eye.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is, in a nutshell, TLDR, they look for normal patterns of behavior. And anything outside of the norm, they scrutinize it. Makes sense. I would. We do it here. When the dogs act weird because there's noises outside, we investigate. We don't just ignore it.
With your tiny baseball bat.
But these podcast promoters, they want to rip you off. That's really all it is. They're going to take your money. And then they'll tell, like, what's funny is I kept saying to the person, okay, so one time a person offered me a freebie and they said they would get me real people. And I was like, I don't have to pay anything. Let's see how this works.
Right.
So I said, sure. And first thing I asked them was, do you need a login to my account or anything like that? They said, no. All right. Cool. So they went off and they did it. Over 2 days, it went up 50,000 downloads over 2 days. Okay. Now, if that was real, I'm going to just say to you, what if only 10% stuck around? That'd be 5,000 additional downloads.
Right.
Every episode. Now, it all dropped. As soon as he went away from the trial, it all dropped back to 0. And that doesn't happen. More than 10% stick around in the real world. More than 10%.
Right.
But I'm giving you just 10%. And he couldn't even match that number. And so I say this to the person, and they're like, you must understand that I do not work for free. You must pay, and then I will work. Well, that's not what I'm saying to you. What I'm saying to you is that, yeah, I'll pay you, you'll work, Then as soon as I decide to stop paying you, everything I paid you for goes away.
Saying is, bro, you're a huge scammer and I don't trust you. Go away, you annoying sack of garbage.
Let's imagine if you hired somebody to, let's say we bought this house and we wanted to remodel the bathrooms.
Okay.
And we bring someone in and they get started and they bought all this material with our money,
Right.
used our credit card, etc. And for whatever reason, we need to fire them. They don't get to take the material.
Right.
It's our material.
Right.
They just get to go. Same thing. Same thing. It's my stuff. If I pay for it, it shouldn't go away. Why does it go away? It goes away because it's not real. You can get me all these listens and everything, but as soon as I stop paying you, it goes away. And so that's the thing.
Right.
Shows shouldn't be dependent upon a promoter to continue to get views. Just, it's stupid.
We had that podcast promoter for, not the YouTube promoter guy for What Happened in Vegas forever. I mean, some of the subs he got us are gone now that we no longer have him, but it's a YouTube removed inactive subscriptions.
Yep.
It's not a he took them away kind of thing.
Right.
So I don't know.
But judging by the behavior of those particular accounts, they're sus.
Super sus.
You have to be careful. And then they promise you the world, and you got to think, people. If their strategy is to advertise and push those ad people to your podcast, first of all, how are they guaranteeing 10,000 streams in 14 days? How are they guaranteeing that?
Really is confusing.
You can't guarantee that is the answer, because I can put an ad out there. It doesn't mean someone's going to buy.
As we've learned.
People can click on the link and come to the website and still not buy. Who knows the reasons why? They try. And I'm lost again. I had another break.
You were talking about how they can run ads and people will click, but it doesn't mean that they'll subscribe.
Oh, yeah. Fix that. So they're going to run these ads, and then how can they make people click it? They can't. And even if people click the ad,
how can they make them listen?
They can't.
Exactly.
But somehow they can guarantee you so many clicks and so many listens in a 2-week period. And the only way and then for that to just disappear later has to be a bot farm in Pakistan.
Right. Totally a bot farm.
It has to be.
Maybe not Pakistan, but definitely yonder.
Most of these people are from Pakistan, so I'm assuming keeping the
or Bangladesh. Okay, it's funny. We've been working virtually for the last decade or so. And I've encountered an awful lot of people from Pakistan in this time. Okay. And it's interesting to me that there must be like a adult education place there that's like a big thing that decides, oh, I'm going to teach you how to be a podcast promoter this year. And 5 years ago, it was, I'm going to teach you how to grow people's Instagram following. And it's because all of a sudden, all the people who reach out from Pakistan are talking about the exact same thing, using the exact same script.
Same thing with the SEO people.
Exactly. Totally exactly.
You're right. Someone over there is making a fortune by lying to these people and telling them that this is the right way to do it.
And part of the course must be that Americans are stupid. Because that guy that you were speaking to earlier definitely thought you were the idiot. And you were not.
Which guy?
The guy that started this entire rant.
Oh, yes. He thought I was dumb.
Right.
But yet, he didn't answer a single one of my questions.
That's because he didn't understand any of your questions because he doesn't speak English, but...
He avoided.
Yeah.
And I like that he was probably taught to just say, whenever they say anything, just say, yes, but just try my service. You'll be satisfied. That's all he kept saying.
Even in the end.
Yeah.
Oh, just trust me. You send the money and I'll do the service.
Yeah. Trust you. Yeah.
Yeah. Super likely.
The fact that I've asked you about 12 questions, you haven't answered any of them, really gives me reason to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think. I just don't. And you made me think, like, you're right. Over the years, the thing, capital T, has been different, but it's
Right.
the same poor group of people that keep
And
getting hit.
it comes in trends. It's like the scams, quite honestly. I guess it is a scam, but it's like the romance scam. What they say to you comes in waves. Remember, it was always the military dudes. I guess for you, it was military women, but it was always the ex-military dudes who were like in their 50s or 60s and they had a 3-year-old.
What did they do? Have sex with a Vietnamese lady when they were in Vietnam?
Probably.
Wow.
Anyway. And then it evolved. They changed slightly. But it's always you always know if you're going to get 5 or 6 of them in a month that they're going to be exactly the same.
Because somebody ran a program, a master class or something,
Right.
that these people paid a small amount of money for, but to them was a huge amount of money. And they got scammed out of their money because they were told, basically, they were taught how to be a scammer.
Right.
And want to bet that many of them got it for free, quotes, because they signed a deal where the person gets a percentage of whatever they make.
I'm sure some of them did it. I'm sure those are the more successful ones.
And technically, they are being scammers then.
Right.
Because they're working for that person using that person's method, which is clearly very scammy.
Right.
I don't know. I found the whole thing interesting. I did find it interesting that I said that to myself at one point. I don't know why I'm wasting my time talking to this person, because they're not really paying any attention to what I'm saying. They're just pasting random answers back. Because they sent the same exact wording of the same exact message 3 times.
Yeah. That's pretty spectacular.
But they're not the first, second, or even 100th
Scammer reach out to you this week?
that's reached out to me this week.
Right.
And most of them these days are podcast promoters.
That's because that's what we do.
Yeah, I guess.
I get an awful lot of them reaching out to VP virtual assistants that is they're clearly some kind of scammer.
I like that, though. You have Apple Podcast, but it is a podcast network. And then transitions to Spotify podcast.
Right.
The last thing I'll tell you about before we go is, then I had a guy send me randomly on my GTLE Instagram, randomly send me a message. And he's a follower. Like, all right, that's interesting. And he's like, I'm in the run. Could you maybe vote for me? I'm in the running for a collaboration on a podcast that's being run by Spotify and Google. And I would be the co-host on the Spotify side, and someone else would be the co-host on the Google side. And I just need 100 and whatever more votes to qualify. And so I was like, I looked at his profile and I was like, no, it looks like a normal. He sells like little kids things. So I was like, well, that doesn't seem like a bad dude. I clicked the link. Immediately, advanced security pops up and goes, nope, you don't want to go there, bro. Not a place to go, bro.
He got hacked.
So I took a much closer look at the link, and it was Spotify's with an S, and then some crap after.
He got hacked.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Poor guy.
But that's why you have to be careful. But that's also why I have the safe browse stuff turned on. Because you know me, I like to click those links and see where they go.
Did you get your rant out? You feel better now?
Yeah, I got my rant on. I rant on to Anton. Time to go, Ton.
Good night, everyone.
Still a vibe.
Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.